y'all. So this is today's objective, equations from proportional graphs. This is a proportional graph. So two quick things to review to make sure you know what a proportional graph is. Number one, it goes through the origin. And number two, it must be a straight line. And before we only ever did positive slopes, but today you're going to see some negative slopes. I have hiccups. Just real quick, slope is the rise over run, and we denote it with the letter M. I don't know why it's not S. I guess S stands for side, like a side of a square, but M is slope. I don't know who came up with that. And here's the equation. Here's the big important equation. Y equals mx. I don't know if you can see that. Y equals mx, and m is the slope, like I just told you. So a few things you need to know about the slope. Number one, we have to use whole numbers, no decimals. So we have to use whole numbers. Number two, if it's going to be a fraction, you need to leave it as an improper fraction. Because it's rise over run, you might have an improper fraction. Do not change it to a mixed number, just like ratios. You can't have a mixed number as a ratio, so leave it as an improper fraction. And then the last part is to reduce. Just like a ratio, we're going to reduce. So for example, if you had 9/6 as your slope, then you would reduce it to divide by 3, and you would get 3/2, and so your slope would be 3/2. You do not change it to a mixed number. You leave it as an improper fraction. So let's do some examples. Let's get to work. Alright, so example 1, write an equation for each graph. And that's the purpose of today, is can you look at a graph and can you write an equation that looks like y equals mx. So graph A, we've got money, $1, $2, $3, $4, and then down here we have pounds of something. 1 pound, 2 pounds, 3 pounds. And remember, we need to look at whole numbers. So I look at this first dot. It's up 1 and then over, is that a whole number? No. So we can't use it. So we need to go up to the next dot. So we go up 2. So we went up 2, so that means our rise is 2. And then we went over 1. Because remember, slope is rise over run. So we went up 2 over 1, and that's our slope. This means $2 for 1 pound. And we want to put that into an equation. So we start with y equals, and our slope is 2 over 1. Can we reduce 2 over 1? 2 divided by 1 is 2, so 2x. And that is your equation. Y equals 2x. That's it. You find the slope, and you put it into your equation. Let's do graph B. So on graph B we have miles, 1 mile and 2 miles, distance. And then we have time, minutes. 1, 2, all the way to 10 minutes. So someone's running miles in minutes. So we want to find a whole number. So let's look at this dot. This is up, it's at 4, but is that a whole number? If this is 1, then this is 0.5. So we can't use that dot because it's a decimal. So we have to go to a whole number. So let's go to this dot. This is at 1. So we went up 1, because remember it's rise. And then how far over did we go? And it looks like it's above 8. So it means 1 mile in 8 minutes. 1 mile in 8 minutes. Can we reduce 1 over 8? No, 1/8. So we put it into our equation, we get y equals 1/8 x. And that is your equation. Y equals 1/8 x. So again, you're finding your slope, rise over run, and you're putting it into an equation. Alright, so some more examples. Let's talk about negative examples. This is a scuba diver. One of my shows I like to watch on Sundays is Amazing Race. And yesterday they had to go scuba diving and they had to have an underwater picnic, which was really funny. But anyway, if you've ever gone diving, or even just in a swimming pool, if you dive into the deep end to go get some goggles or something, you'll notice that you feel pressure on your ears from the water pressure. And that happens anywhere you go when you go down. So this is a graph of the water pressure and the feet that you're going down below sea level if you're scuba diving in the ocean. So our graph goes through the origin, and it's a straight line. So we want to find the slope, which it still is rise over run. Now rise might sound like you go up, but we're going to go down. So let's see this point. To get to this point, I went down 1, 2, 3. So it's -3. And I went over 1. So that means for every 3 feet below, you get 1 something of pressure. I don't know how you measure pressure. So our equation would be -3x. Y equals -3x, because -3 over 1 is -3. And we put that in for our slope, M. Let's look at this one. Mrs. Hantlin's baby weight. Okay, so yes, I'm having a baby. You see, I put on a few pounds, and I want to lose that weight after I have the baby. So these are the number of weeks. 1 week, 2 week, 3 week, 4 week after the baby, and these are my pounds that I'm going to lose. And here is my graph. Notice it's a down graph, so my slope should be negative. And I'm going to look at this point right here. So I went down to -4, and then I went over to 2. So -4 over 2, we have to reduce, and that would be -2 over 1. And in my equation, I get -2x. So that means Miss Hantlin will lose 2 pounds every week. If I lose 4 pounds in 2 weeks, then I would lose 2 pounds in 1 week. So hopefully by 6 weeks I will have lost 12 pounds. But we'll see. So those are 2 negative examples. Alright, so here's a U-try. This is Miss Hantlin's baby's weight gain by day. So this is my baby. After I have my baby, baby obviously has to gain weight. So here's a graph. These are the pounds. 0.25, 0.50, 75, 1 pound, 1.5, 2. And then these are the number of days. So when my baby is 1 day old, 2 days old, 3 days old, all the way through 9 days old. And I want you to come up with, first you have to find the slope. And then you have to put it into the equation for y equals mx. So find the slope, put it into the equation, press play when you're ready. So pause it, work it out, and then press play. Alright, so again, we need to look for whole numbers for our slope. So I see this dot right here, it's over 2, but we need to go up. So that's not a whole number, and that's not a whole number. So this is going to be our whole number right here. So how far up did I go? My rise is 1. And then I went over, up, because remember slope is rise over run. Ooh, that's bad. I'm not going to use that one anymore. Alright, so let me start over. Rise, over run. So I went up 1 and over 8. So 1/8. That means my baby gains 1 pound in 8 days. And that was my slope. Can I reduce 1/8? No. So that means my equation is y equals 1/8x. So I hope you got that, 1/8. Alright, and this is the last slide, and it's fill in the blank. So just a quick review, I want you to fill in these blanks. The slope is blank over blank. Y equals blank x for proportional graphs, blank x. And then I want you to label the axes. One of these is the x-axis, and one of these is the y-axis. So I want you to label which one of these is the x and y, which one of these is the x, and which one of these is the y. And so you have these last 3 questions, 1, 2, 3, that I want you to answer, and we're going to go over these in class tomorrow.